All right, under the ID I Love Uv, Ultra is playing in the bottom left. I don't know what color this is. It's some kind of brown, I think. I'll say dark olive, but it was dark bronze. There you go. And Kasuga in the top right, he is our black Protoss. Stockade on the way for Ultra. We'll see what he wants to do with that. This is a more recent update to the game, so I believe, let's see, this is after the Cyprian buffs, so pretty recent. Kasuga playing on Watchpoint here, a map port of Matchpoint from Starcraft 1. It has been Cosmonarchy-ified. This is also before I made some adjustments. Our resource wandering is very different than StarCraft 1, so this mineral field kept getting like automatically acquired by harvesters here. I changed this out for an add-on you can blow up if you want to get rid of it. It doesn't cause too many pathing troubles, thankfully. So that is an improvement. So it'll be 2 Stockade versus 2 Gate. The fact that Ultra's going Bio versus Protoss is very interesting to me. I know he likes Bio, but very cool. Very cool stuff. If you're just joining us, Cosmonarchy is very different than StarCraft 1. But it's also very similar, I guess you could say. A lot of the pros that play end up being top players in no time, and that's not a slight against our homegrown talent that play Cosmonarchy exclusively or as their main competitive RTS game. But one of the things that I do think is neat is that there's so many translatable skills. That being said, there are a lot of things you got to learn differently. For example, you actually don't even need to make a stockade, a barracks equivalent, in StarCraft or in Cosmonarchy in order to make a factory equivalent, the Fulcrum. You can just start with the Fulcrum. You can open mech if you want. You don't need the bio. So Ultra's making the deliberate decision. It's not because he's out of practice or whatever. He doesn't know this. He does know this. He's actually practiced a lot more than I thought he would, which is very cool. He's got a show match coming up this weekend. This Friday, actually. Wait, that's tomorrow. He's got a show match tomorrow. There you go. Versus Bonneth and Hawk, who will be also making their debuts in a show match. But yeah, it's cool to see him try the bio strat. He's actually making an anchor, which is our bunker equivalent. It can fly. It can lift off. Very cool. Very cool. And then another thing that I think is worth pointing out here is that, like, worker saturation is different. You take the mineral field count, multiply it by 2. That's how many workers you want mining in the early game. Up until that point, you actually don't have any diminishing returns from harvesting. So that is a pretty important detail. So you can see here that Ultra has like 13 workers once he gets a 14th on there. If he adds another worker after that, it will be a little bit less efficient. And that's when you can start transferring. But that generally means you transfer later into the game. You don't have to transfer as soon as you make your expansion. Unless you're expanding pretty late, in which case, obviously, you still want to be making workers if you can. Kasuga's going to go ahead and move out, but he's going to run up into 2 Cyprians and an Anchor. These units from Bio are very potent. They also just got buffed on this update when they were being played. Do a little bit more damage, train a little bit faster. Kasuga's going to try to just run by it looks like. I think he right-clicked up here trying to just get up here in general, but wow, look at all the damage he ended up taking. Not good. Definitely a lot of HP there. Protoss have flash shielding, so their shields regenerate very quickly as soon as they stop taking damage, and then it kind of cools off, so you'll see it regenerate a little bit slower over time. But it's a pretty neat tactic so that you can do hit and runs, you can dive in, do some damage, dive back out when the shields start falling, and get back into the action very quickly. So very different style of thing, but you know, it's a part of their power budget for all their units, and especially in the early game. Ooh. Yeah, not great control here for Kasuga. I'm guessing that the ping between South America and Taiwan is probably pretty high, so they might end up having, like, you know, instead of low latency, it might be a higher latency setting. So we'll see. We'll see. But he is going for a Cantavis, and he's going for the Envoy. So this is a storm drop in more layman's terms. We will definitely see Kasuga trying that quite a few times. He does enjoy it in all matchups. I think it's probably better versus Zerg. Terran obviously has higher HP on their workers, but Storm Drop is pretty good. It's kind of underexplored. I think Kasuga's the only one doing it. I love that he's managing the bio by doing these little moves. And I do notice that Ultra has a hard time keeping his stims up and operational. Stim works differently, where you got to stim, and then a bit late after you stim, that's when it kicks in as a buff. And then you want to pre-stim before you run out so that you can keep it the buff full uptime. So he's going to give chase here, but you see that little flash indicates that he's actually out of stim, and he could have stimmed again. But still, he'll pick one Dracodon. Honestly, that's a little bit more than I thought. I used to have this bit where I would say, well, if somebody beats a Dracodon with Mavericks, if their bio kills a Dragoon equivalent for Cosmonarchy, start donating, dude. That doesn't happen every often. But then people started just farming Protoss with bio for a little bit there, and I realized, oh, wait. People don't have enough money to donate that often. I will say one thing about what Ultra is doing right now is he is adding a lot of Talos. He's adding these flying workers that are much more efficient, and he's expanded a lot faster than his opponent. But we just come on down here in time to catch the... Ooh, 6 kills early. No response here from Ultra. He's actually not reacted to this at all. I wonder what he was thinking there. I wonder why he decided not to do anything about that. That seems uncharacteristic. But the Watchdog was done. Looks like he'll just reset it with Talos. The flying workers take a lot longer to train than basic workers, so this scales up a lot longer. Flying workers also cost Vespine, so it is going to impact the economy a little bit. A little bit more than you might expect, and it takes a little bit longer to really get going. Another storm drop, this time on the... Oh, look at that. That was really good from Ultra, actually. Forces the Envoy away. Almost. If he had focused down the Envoy instead of the Cantavis there, I think he actually would have killed the Envoy. As it stands, it does escape with the Cantavis. You can barely see it down there, in the bottom left. Witness spying things. Okay, Covenant is done, and he's making Savants. This is a new bio unit similar to the Cyprian. Another storm drop. Kasuga's gotten a lot of mileage out of this dude. 15 kills. Where are the Mavericks at? Definitely getting good harassment. He'll put down a Watchdog. Still, I mean... Look, the worker difference is only 2. That's because he's made the double treasury and he just keeps making Talos. So, still working out pretty well. I think now is the time when the workers will actually be pulled. I know I said earlier that the Terran workers have more HP, but not that much more HP. You can't just let them sit under Storm. Unitary Union nearly complete here for Kasuga. We haven't really talked about what the Protoss is doing after the drops, but he's added a Grand Library for the Cantavis, of course, and he'll also go ahead and get... a couple of other units. I think the Herald, which is what he's making right now, is really important for engages. Anytime a unit around a Herald dies, an allied unit to the Protoss, their corpse is turned into this quick speed boost for all of their allies. So the Herald basically will say oh, this Amaranth here that died, or this Dracodon that died, now all of my units around that corpse will start moving faster, as long as the Herald is within vision range of the corpse. So it's very powerful. And it does allow you to take engagements as you approach a Terran entrenched position, for example. Ultra moving up to the top left to add a treasury there. Witness spying on things. How often Kasuga looks at the enemy bases, I'm not really sure. But definitely something that's a little bit cheeky. And he's going to go ahead and expand at the 9 o'clock position. Maybe we should go ahead and shift tab our minimap colors here, just so that we can see things a little bit better. Although, you'll have to bear with me. These yellow things in the middle of the map are, in fact, not Ultras. So... That's a little bit easier for people to probably see on the minimap there. Triple Eidolon now coming out of Mr. Ultra. The Eidolon is surprisingly a meta unit. People probably don't believe me. It is, of course, the Ghost, but renamed. And obviously it has a different role. So Eidolons are permanently cloaked, and when you get close to them, they will decloak. So within 3 range. And that includes with a cloaked unit of your own. Like this Witness could walk up to these Eidolons and force them to decloak. So... obviously, that means you want to keep them away from the enemy as long as possible. Infiltrating for nuking is a little bit harder, but you still can do it, of course. And look at this. Moving up to the top left, we've got 4 Dracodons from Kasuga. They are going to pop in here and deny this mining base. We'll see what Ultra wants to do. Is he's just sort of in response, he's setting up 6 o'clock and evacuating the Taluses. I think the Treasury will go down. It's not nearly as durable as the Ministry, our command center equivalent. But actually, Kasuga's not interested in chasing it, so it looks like it'll be just fine. He can just land it at the 9 o'clock position. 3 o'clock now coming up for Kasuga for the 3rd base. One thing that Ultra has done really well is continuously expand and get his economy rolling, or trying to respond to losing 15-plus workers to harassment and stuff. He's actually taking the worker lead again. And part of that is because Kasuga doesn't expand as often as maybe he ought to. But also, I think a big part of that is just because Kasuga's deliberately making a lot of military units in the early game. And we're now in the mid game. I think around 10 minutes is when the mid game usually begins. Now, will Ultra notice that the Witness is here? That's what I want to know. For detection, you can't use the missile turret anymore, but you can use Shamans if you deploy them. That's a unit that this add-on here enables. And you can also go for a couple of static defense options that detect, and a couple of an air unit that essentially is this defensive utility unit. And he's going to want to have decloaking options because there are vibrances on the way, and these bad boys are permanently cloaked until they attack. It's not like the combat. It's a combat cloak instead of anything else. Now, he sees the shimmer very obviously, and he's going to try to see if he can block it. But what does he want to do with that, right? Like, he probably hasn't seen this unit before. It's a fairly new addition to the game. Oh, he's trying to create the wall. I think he's done it. I don't think Kasuga can move forward, and then he has to attack to reveal himself, and that was a huge mistake, because those are tanky units, but clearly not able to go up against that. So, hats off to him. Another little move here that you can do is if you know that the witness is here based on the shimmer, you can actually move your savants over here, attack your treasury, and the line trace damage will kill the witness, or at least damage it. So that's a neat little trick you can do if you don't feel like investing in detection. He is making the star pad now, so that will give him the Anseal, which provides good detection options there. Double Grand Library, Double Stargate, Ardent Authority. Okay, all right. Well, it does feel like right about now we are getting into territory where it's very, it's a slow game. It's a podcast game where I can tell you guys all about Cause Monarchy and how epic it is. It does feel to me like Ultra is doing his best to, oh, look at that. Blowing up the Terran stuff in the middle of the map makes a lot of sense here for Kasuga. He wants his big army to be able to move around easily. But it does feel to me right now that, like, the tech options that we have Kasuga doing, where he's got his Stargates and he's got his Ardent Authorities, he's clearly investing a lot into a sort of mid-game army. I want to see how that does, because one of the goals that we did with the recent balance update was making it so that Protoss felt like they didn't have to rush to end-game tech in order to compete with what the other races have. I don't know. I mean, this army does look pretty scary here for our Terran player. He's got a lot of savants. If he knows to deploy them, they can obviously range down a lot of units. So it's in the same way that like siege tanks deploy, a bunch of other Terran units have deployments, including the Savant, which is a bio unit, which is kind of nifty, right? They're carrying around this big ass weapon that they deploy onto the ground.
Is that a fucking crow? Ah!
That is a fucking crow. Thank you for the follow, Kazansky. I remember Tom Kazansky. I know it's spelled differently, but still. Oh, he does know to deploy them. So they will stack up an attack speed buff over time and steal that attack speed from enemy units. Well, no more detection for this battle as the Anseal's been sniped away. And I don't really like the formation of units per se here from Ultra. There's a big concave here for the Protoss. He is ranging them down, but that Savant turned into an autogun for a second. It did get focused down. Kasuga doing well to do that. Behind this attack, we also have a little bit of a... Oh, the Vibrants got in! The Vibrants infiltrated and killed 6 workers. Honestly, I expected it to be a little bit more than that, but it looks like it was a drop, funnily enough, so one of the 2 is dead. Still trying to chase down the army with the bio. Oh, he's got a Clarion for detection. Now, you should focus this down as Ultra, but he's probably never seen the unit before, so he's just like, yeah, whatever that thing is, that's not important. It's creating a shield little link between all the units that have that overlay, which means that shield damage is spread across all of them. But look at the remax from Mr. Ultra. He's made a lot of units, and he still has a slight, not quite a worker lead, but he's still doing his best here, and his flying workers aren't even taking damage from the Vibrants, which is amazing. Pushes back the army and defends versus the attack. I think the harassment there not quite doing enough. Remember, his growth is still looking good. I love the LAN effects. I love these. These are Corsair equivalents. These guys, obviously they've seen our new model and stuff. They are going to erase the Talos as they deal splash damage, of course, just like StarCraft 1. Their ability, Disruption Field, works a little bit different than Disruption Web. But look at this. At the same time, we've got Kasuga stabbing into 9 o'clock. He's resetting the worker count entirely here. There was no defense in place. Kasuga just wandering in and annihilating so much of what Ultra had. He does not have treasuries ready to lift off and move up to these locations either, so I guess he can migrate the Taluses he evacuated from 9 o'clock to restock the ones that just got erased by all of the LAN effects here at 6 o'clock, but that is still a lot. And look, a scribe has found treasury in the bottom right. Everything coming up Kasuga right about now. He's got the worker lead. Army kind of getting hemorrhaged here by Ultra. He's got to respond to that by pulling his Eidolons back. The Harakans are expendable, as much as I love Ahmed. And wild stuff here right about now, as Ultra is still trying to... he's still trying to learn what's going on, still trying to make sure he's in a good spot. We've got a lot of Protoss tech here that he probably doesn't know that much about. Keep an eye on the Heralds. When they go down, that's going to be a big swing in terms of utility. And look at all of them collapsing at the same time. The Savants doing their best to drain the attack speed of the Gladiuses, and that's really, really good focus fire. But Ultra now trying to deal with that ground army. That does leave the Gladiuses another room to come on in, and the Eidolons have to get out of dodge before they get revealed just by getting close to them. So the Gladiuses chain infinite bounces together as long as they're within range of the victims. And that was one of the things that I thought maybe Ultra knew something about, because he was doing a great job focusing them down initially. But for whatever reason, it didn't end up holding. And now we've got a bunch of Hurricanes that need to buy time so that the Eidolons can focus down the key targets. We've got a Vibrance restoring shields in the background every time it hits something, so that's a little bit of sustain there. And now we've got a triple Trojan Doom drop earmarked for the natural where all of the Harvesters are here. He actually peels one off and goes after the one in the main base. We'll see how successful that one is, as it does look like the army has been routed in the middle of the map. Kasuga has forced himself away from that, just for a time being. Wipes out every worker in the main base. Oversaturated anyway, considering these are mostly depleted minerals. Take a lot longer to harvest from, so you don't want as many workers there. But he might be able to just tear things down as well. And certainly is making it tricky here for Kasuga, who just lost another witness on the front gates. He's got a couple more in the extremists on the map. Only now is 9 o'clock or 6 o'clock being reestablished. 9 o'clock was remade, but the workers are not on there. Economics, I think, honestly, both of our players are in a bit of a rough spot. Oh, look at this! He's making wardens! He's like, I don't have the time to send units down there. I'll just make structures. Amazing. Heralds going down will increase the attack speed temporarily, but even with these Exemplars doing splash damage, this army looks too small for Kasuga to actually break through. Maybe he'll change my mind. The Savants are not in the fight. But even still, the Eidolon count has gotten so damn high, and he still has detection for the Vibrance. It goes down without taking a single shot. Hard to tell what the players exactly are focusing on when they start targeting things, but damn, am I proud of Ultra for figuring out what the key details are, what the key units are. Got more Exemplars coming for trying to do some more crowd control. And I think Kasuga could have played this a lot of different ways, but it does feel like he's lost his advantage, even though he's got the worker lead. Lanifek can't quite heckle the Taluses any longer. Needs reinforcements if he wants to try to deal with that. You can activate the disruption field, and it attaches to the Lanifek and shuts down ground units from attacking. So you can just walk over here and disable this, and probably put one over here and disable both of those two watchdogs. So that would be an option if he had two more Lanifeks, but he's not remaking them. Static defense being added to the 3 o'clock position, and he's taking bottom right. A lot of Mavericks. I haven't really seen Ultra go for stims, though. He kind of needs to get in the habit of, like, control left-clicking the Mavericks and then issuing the stim command, right? That's something that he definitely needs to do, in my opinion. Otherwise, they are not going to be nearly as cost-efficient. And right about now, oh, good there to deal with that land effect before it disabled all of his army. Otherwise, everything else would have gone tits up for him real quick, I feel like. The Unar goes down. That's a sniper unit. Not really great versus this composition, but still a lot of resources. So even though I'm sitting here like that doesn't make a difference to the fight, it's still a lot of money Kasuga put into something that isn't really that helpful. Ironically, if he had a lot of architects, he could just kind of run the table over him that way. As of right now, the Eidolons are going to snipe out the Sedent. He's got a Cantavis ready for a storm. Oh, that one was off to a bad rally. I'm not sure where the other ones are. He's got two more back here. Ends up taking care of all the Savants, which is very good. But the Eidolon count is still pretty high, and we don't really have any detection here. All the witnesses on the other side of the map instead of helping out. Though, the storms were good. One of them got sniped really early, though. Yeah, he's not going to have much firepower behind this. I think that is a wrap for the army. What does he still have? He's got 7 military units. Not that they're very helpful. Not mining at 9 o'clock, or bottom right, rather. Exemplars coming in to try to clear out the Eidolons. But I think there's enough Eidolons that you can't really do that. And there's no witness here either. He's making a new one. A couple of frontline units, which definitely would help out. And I think the static defense there at 3 is okay. Looks like Ultra has rediscovered his Trojans and he's going to go for another drop. This is looking like a real brawly game between these two players. I'll tell you that much. Welcome, Vilius. Thank you for tuning in over on Twitch. Having a good time right about now. Watching Ultra, Terran Pro from Starcraft 1. Try to get to grips with the game by fighting Kasuga, who is just a very strange player sometimes, and so bit hard for him to figure things out. Can I get a remove toss in the chat? Is that allowed? Is that something people want? All right. He actually unloads right on top of the tech. You can't steal attack speed from the structures because, you know, that's just the way it is. But this does do a little bit more DPS, I think. Actually, not entirely sure about that. Oh, I guess they lose armor pen, so maybe not. Oh, look at that. Now he's going to be in position. Unfortunately, yeah, this is Not the best drop. If he was after workers, honestly, the Savants would be pretty good, but... Now he's going to move over to 3 o'clock and wipe it out. He has the Hurricanes to deal with it. The one engram doing some splash damage, but it only gets like 4 shots off, so that's easy enough. And then he unloads again to heckle the base while the army tries to respawn. Exemplars targeting there. I think this is too much for anything. Even if Kasuga had his army in one spot, I don't think he could beat this army that Ultra has gotten. 5 Exemplars try to change my mind on that subject, but they still can't see the Eidolons. They still can't see them. And now we can't see the Exemplars because they are devastated. These Savants even killed the 2 that were earmarked for them anti-harassment campaign. Or no, I guess they didn't. But yeah, that's a dead base at 3. He's depleting his base in the natural. Talus is reestablished at 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock. And top left is slowly being saturated as well. Ultra in control right now. There is an engram here again, and it's in the back, so it's a little bit harder to deal with, it looks like. That might have been a Cantavis. Or no, I guess it was probably an Amaranth, actually. Yeah, no dice on the melee units. They end up getting annihilated by the firing squad of Eidolons. Oh, the engrams are doing some work, though. The Bulwark providing detection. That's probably not something that... Ultra is aware of, and so I think he might pop the engram if he gives it one more good shot. Oh, that's so sad. One single Eidolon shot would have finished it off, but his nerve broke. Talus moving to 12 o'clock. I can't believe what I'm seeing. Yeah, right about now, I would say that Ultra is still very much in command of the game. Kasuga has thwarted the initial push, but he's been making units off of control groups, presumably, this whole time. So he's... I love the queue full of Mavericks. That's such an outrageous amount of money, and he still has 4K minerals. So it's not even like I can yell at him for that. Talus has built structures, too. You may have seen them... they're repairing very nicely over here, but you may have seen them... constructing stuff like these treasuries and stuff. They build more than that. They can build any structure that Terran can build. So, I think that's pretty neat. All right, bottom right looks like it's going to be the next target. Posturing over here. He's cleared one of the witnesses. There is another one here that can give vision for Kasuga. He really doesn't want him to attack 3, and that's exactly where Ultra is going. So good recognition there. He'll focus down the engram. The other one probably will finish before the army gets close enough, and the Savants go ahead and deploy, but that means that they're vulnerable to storms. They got to pack up their gun if they want to stay alive now, and it looks like they will not. The storm's softening up the Hurricanes as well, but they still dive forward, and the Eidolons are ranging down some of these Exemplars. There's no splash damage here for Ultra. He's got to take care of all of these air units one by one, and he is doing so like Goliaths versus Carriers. The Eidolons even going to be able to take out the Stormers before they finish their job. And now there's just the engram. Witness here to provide vision of those Eidolons, which is very good, of course, but not really much firepower to actually deal with them. And the Savants go ahead and deploy. They're going to target those Exemplars and the engram, of course. We've got more units coming on in that could have definitely helped out in the fight, particularly those extra Exemplars. The Witness is still somewhere. Yeah, it's right there. So we might actually still see Kasuga stay alive here. You can see how squishy these Eidolons can end up being, and they are expensive, so... He'll pop one more Exemplar on his way out, and that'll be it. What's his army looking like? Still, obviously, a lot of Mavericks. I think he's just going to go ahead and aim for the drop. He's been making ant seals this whole time. One thing that I'm not seeing him do is cap his ridges. If we look at the base here for Kasuga, he lost his Aquifer earlier, which is the assimilator equivalent, but you can make a mini one on the ridge, which is the mini geyser that we see in these bases that are had over here. So you can cap this and turn it into a geyser in terms of amount of resources that you get. And that's something that Ultra is not doing right now. So his Vespine income is super low, despite all the bases he has. His mineral income is outrageous. That's just kind of a cute thing there. You can see the ant seal shielding from some of the damage, but Ultra doesn't want to keep diving in. He wants to find an easier target. His bio army, kind of on autopilot here, annihilating the pitiful forces that Kasuga has. And now his Stargates are under duress. There's the stim. Beautiful. Just needs to get active and pop these units before too much else happens. Before the production finishes. Yeah, he's going to pop them right before the Exemplars pop. I think, actually, if the Exemplars were rallied up here, they could have killed a lot of the Mavericks over time because they are pretty tanky. Hard for Mavericks to deal with their weapon range, but good timing there. The Crucible will go down. That's actually not going to depower anything, I don't think, but it will stop the attack, the training speed multiplier from kicking in. And actually, it will be saved at the last second by Kasuga's army, but this means Ultra has room to go in and stamp out the natural. Maybe go down towards 3 o'clock where it's, again, vulnerable. The Nexus is very, very wounded, so he's going to pop this one. Interesting to see Bio versus Protoss, I'll tell you that much. And this game was not like any of the other games I've casted TVP. It looks like right about now, Kasuga's last stand is happening before our very eyes. He will not crush the Bio army in this position. You can say what you want about how clumped up the Eidolons are, but his units are too wounded. And right about now, Ultra can turn up the heat, turn up the pressure. He's sending another round of units, and this is unlikely to go anywhere but the 3 o'clock base. Shut that down, and then maybe try to attack in to the bottom right. It's a cramped map. Hard to move big armies around. That's what we're seeing right about now. Ancestral, Synthetic. So tier 4 units are on the way for Kasuga, but it's going to be so long before he can actually spend money on them. They are expensive. And he has almost no mining going on. If he loses this base, I'm going to call it. And as of right now, I'm definitely leaning towards Ultra. Good storms. He will actually break out of this little bio-containment. The Pariah helping out a ton, just soaking up so much damage. Well, he can pop this Nexus to deny mining efficiency, and then maybe he can try to go out towards bottom right. Unfortunately, though, the engrams have annihilated just about everything here, so I guess he won't be doing that. You can tell that the efficiency is not quite here. You know, like I talked about Ultra's float. He's got a ridiculous float for minerals. But also, let's be real, we are talking about a guy who's got every base on the map just about. And he's still struggling quite a bit to close out versus a pitiful amount of units comparatively. It's 100 units to 20, and I guarantee you Kasuga can make this look a lot closer than you think based on that kind of statistic. Obviously not all 100 units are actually here for Ultra right now, but he is just having way more cost efficiency, and that Pariah refuses to die. It doesn't even have any sustain. It's just staying alive. Pure force of will. All right, the Mind Tyrant up Tecton has arrived. Kasuga can try to tyrannize as many of the units, mind control as many of the units as possible. He's actually retaking his natural. I would definitely prioritize this one a bit more, and he has very limited resources. So these are his own. This is his only tier 4 unit, guys. This is it. The one up Tecton. He's got another one about to finish. He hasn't even cast the ability on it, and I don't know if he'll have the opportunity to pretty soon. Yeah, this is a really good concave here for Ultra. He sees the Optecton. He knows how powerful that unit is. And there it goes. Cantavis hiding underneath the Exemplar. They do a lot of splash damage. Okay, now we've got the control going on. But does it matter? I think the answer is probably no. The Optecton is so low. Well, he's speeding away with the help of the Mind Tyrant buff, but he will not make it to salvation up the ramp. I guess analogs are also a tier 4 unit, but they're more of a chaff unit that you want to get a lot of as of right now. And another Mind Tyrant exists, but he's not actually casting the ability. He's not using it. He doesn't have the energy for it. He's regenerating energy right now. And I think there's just too many Eidolons. Oh my god, hold on, never mind. Poor Ultra, he can't comprehend. What? Tier 1 doesn't beat Tier 4? What? It might still beat Tier 4. You can just combat drop, but... So when the Mind Tyrant has this Malefactor ability that's being activated by the Optecton here, the Optecton has the buff. It gets an overshield equivalent to the energy of the Mind Tyrant, and it also moves faster. And any unit that it damages, when it takes fatal damage, as long as it's within like 2 seconds of being attacked by the Malefactor, will start to turn the other way, turn over towards the be mind controlled essentially. Big drop into this bottom right base. This actually could wipe it out, although Harakans are not the most efficient DPSers. Now getting attacked by his own army and having it turn against him. Ultra needs to make a decision, and it looks like he's going to decide to charge up the ramp. There's another Malefactor Uptecton here, though. He does need to turn away from this position. He's eliminated a lot of the workers here. Kasuga does not have enough money to replenish this in a due manner, but he's getting very efficient now. This is the problem of not teching up. Ultra has explored like 1/8 of the tech tree right about now. He has so many more tools at his disposal. He hasn't made a single fulcrum. He hasn't made the Atlas for tier 2 or any of the tier 2 structures. He has only made stockades. And I guess the star pads, right? He's made 2 units out of the star pad, and he's made, I guess, he hasn't made any Vestry units, has he? No clerics, no shamans. So yeah, he's made 5 bio units, and that's it. 5 bio units, 2 star pad units. That's the equivalent of what he's made so far. And it is slowly dawning on him that his composition has a weakness. The combat drop is really good, actually. Really does start to rout the Uptectons a little bit and allow the bio to move in almost melee range and eliminate the Uptectons before they can snowball out of control. That was the last Mind Tyrant that was actually linked. So no more control. No more Mind control going on at this point. And that will be a wrap on Kasuga's army. He has to call GG. He didn't have enough to replace that. What a game. But GG is called. And that, my friends, is Ultra defeating Kasuga. Anybody ever tells me Protoss OP, I'm going to show them that replay. That was just silly.